When you think of mussels and potatoes, you're sure to think of moules frites, the most famous dish of Belgium. But there's another dish that's every bit as delicious and more elegant, though a bit more work to make. Moules frites dans le purée, or mussels roasted in potato puree. This is equally well suited as an appetizer with a glass of white wine, or as a bar snack with a liter of dark European beer. The best part is it can be prepared well in advance and then finished up just 2 minutes flat by flash frying it.
I'm going to begin with the more liquidy ingredients here. I've got 30 grams of blue cheese. This is really just for background note, kind of like when you put anchovies in some Italian dishes. You won't really taste the blue cheese in the end, but it'll and the egg yolk. So I've got those three ingredients we're going for. Next we have the potatoes. Again, kind of like the gnocchi, you don't want to have them like completely mushy. They have a little bit of texture, a little bit of give in them. They're cooked all the way through, don't get me wrong, but they're not hammered. They're not floating in liquid. So I'm going to grind these a little bit. Then I'm going to add first the baking soda to this. Try to neutralize some of that acid that's in there from the sour cream and the sweet blue cheese. Starts to gather together. Now we're going to add baking powder. And at this point, this is the texture that you want to see. It's pretty dry and gloopy. If it isn't like this, it's probably because you did something wrong. It's not quite the right consistency, but it's close. Now I add a little flour. Okay, normally I don't even measure this. I just kind of do it by feel. I weighed this out. I'm adding 1 ounce, 30 grams of flour. It will vary a little bit from time to time depending on exactly how much your potatoes were cooked and God knows what. Probably atmospheric humidity and other things. So you have to go for what it looks like in the end. However, if you find yourself having to add like 200 grams of flour, forget it. You screwed it up somewhere along the line. Throw it out, start over again. It should not take very much flour to make it into a workable stiff dough like this, right? This is pretty much what you want, but it is going to grind up a little bit more, make sure it's as homogeneous as possible. Pulling this out of the food processor, you see you've got something that's cohesive, almost a cohesive mass, very, very thick. This is going to be covered with cling film and go into the refrigerator for a little while so that the flour can absorb the moisture. I'm using frozen mussels on the half shell, green-lipped mussels from New Zealand. You can get fresh mussels and use those. That's okay too. The first thing you got to watch out for is those little fibers, of course, the beard. Pick them free. Now, this part, a lot of people eat it, the lip itself, but this is chewy and rubbery, and the experience of eating these will actually be a lot better if you get rid of this. What I do is I pull this off and I save this. I save these little bits for making, throwing in with a shellfish stock. These are very nice for that. And without that, when you eat the rest of this mussel, really delicious, much better. And of course we got the little abductor mussel here on the shell. And just take a spoon and scrape that off and rinse the shell. Here's how we're going to stuff them. We put a little bit of potato down inside the shell first. Then you take the mussel, you open it up. It's got an open side. You put that open side down like this. This will not only give it a nicer shape when you're done, but it'll also prevent the oil from rushing into the mussel later. And then you take this, don't put too much, don't go crazy so you've got an inch of the potato over the top of it, but that was a challenge to do, is holding it with the camera at the same time. Okay. Yeah, just kind of neaten it up. It doesn't take too long, Sure. After you practice this a couple times, this will go really fast. And after a couple minutes, you get some of them lined up. I'm putting them on a silpat on the baking sheet to not only to make cleanup easier, but also the insulation of the silicone mat will keep them from burning on the bottom. So these get popped into the oven now. And this is what they look like coming out of the oven. Now we're going to cool these down. They can be held like this for quite a while, for several hours in fact if you need to. And then when you're ready to actually serve them, you put them in the deep fryer, and because of this shelf, they're going to sink down into the basket, and it'll be perfectly cooked evenly, as you'll see in just a moment. And they do not take long. It's a minute at the most. And then drain them meat side down on some paper towels to get rid of the extra oil. And you can see these look absolutely phenomenal now, and they're so tender and moist and flavorful when you dig in and you pick this up. Just put like a little bit of green onion on them and serve them with some sauce on the side, or of course you can do more elaborate plating if you have the time, and if you want a more sophisticated look for your plating, take some green onion, slice it in diagonal short lengths like this, put it into a sieve, and then deep fry it for a few seconds, take it out, drain it on a paper towel, salt it, and then you've got a garnish that you can. We're just going to pour some sauce over the top of this as you're ready to eat them. Also look for my cocktail book, Cocktails of the South Pacific and Beyond, Advanced Mixology, available through Amazon online.